I'll time myself today. Please and thank you. All right, bring my speaker notes that I won't forget I have. All right. Thank you, Chris. Good morning, everybody. My name is Shawn Eaton. I own Piney Peak Inspections, as we were just talking about. As we mentioned, Piney Peak has been open since October of last year. I have been inspecting full-time for about 8 years. I opened Piney Peak Inspections mostly to stay close to home in Littleton. I was commuting from Littleton to the Springs every day for the first 6 or so years, 6.5 years of my career. So opening Piney Peak allows me to kind of be closer to home and not have to travel so much. Before I get going into the presentation, I wanted to give a quick nod to Nikolai. We had an animated logo done earlier this year. And because I am not a very good social media influencer, I have not really had a chance to share this with a whole lot of people. So very quickly, the new animated logo. Nice. Very stoked on how that turned out. So excited to share that other places than just here as well. All right, so getting into my actual presentation. You guys have heard me talk a lot about how thorough I am in my reports or in my inspections, how my reports are written, the detail that is in them, all the photos that are included, how I categorize certain defects in my reports. And today I really wanted to focus a little bit on some specific examples of my report writing, how I categorize my findings during my inspections, and some of the fun gadgets that I get to use while I go through and inspect a house. I brought with me a drone, obviously for high roofs that either you shouldn't walk or can't safely walk. And then the next box over here is the thermal camera and a moisture meter. Those two are very often used in conjunction with one another, which we'll get into a specific example of that later in the report or in the presentation, rather. So yeah, we'll kind of go through that, and we are going to start with the 3 different categories of how I write things out. Everything is categorized into 3 buckets: minor, moderate, and major concerns, and we will kind of get into some specifics here of that. The first category is minor concerns. These are going to be colored blue. Again, people like colors. My reports are very easy to navigate, easy to read, so blue is going to be our bottom level concern, minor concerns. This is stuff that, whether we want to admit it or not, we all have in our house. Door handles that are loose, receptacles that are loose, doors that maybe don't open and close very smoothly, they stick when they open, things like this. Most of these minor concerns are things that can be taken care of by homeowners. If you are even not that handy with a really basic set of hand tools, you should be able to take care of a lot of the blue stuff that comes up in home inspection reports. If you're not comfortable with that, these are great punch list items for a handy person to come out and take a look at, take care of. It should be relatively easy to address. The next category is orange, moderate concerns, middle level. These concerns are typically what my report consists most of. I typically recommend have moderate concerns addressed by somebody who's licensed or qualified in that respective field. So when we have a plumbing issue, we would call Armstrong Plumbing, electrical, Shawn Eaton, roofing, we can get Brian out there, lead for HVAC, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Couple of examples that I have here for us are items that without our handy gadgets we would have missed. So my standards of practice, oddly enough, does not require me to walk a roof or inspect a roof if it's not safe to do so. I always exceed that standard in every way that I can. Part of why I own that drone. A couple photos up here. You can see where there are broken tiles on this roof. That's a reference shot there. Wouldn't have been able to see this without the drone. So that's a great handy gadget that I have on hand. And then this house here is a historical home in Colorado Springs. There were like 6 chimneys on this house. This house's roof line was like, there were 3 stories from the ground level, so 30 plus feet. I carry a 21-foot extendable ladder. I'm not going to put a ladder all the way up there to get that. So again, even if I were to get onto this roof, I wouldn't have been able to see these chimneys that extend very, very high up above that roof line. So yeah, these are some examples of some moderate concerns that we look at and see, and some examples of how these tools allow me to find them. We're going to move into, last but certainly not least, major concerns. So anything red, obviously red is kind of an alarming color. anything red in the home inspection report, how I categorize this, these are going to be potential safety items, health and safety items, security compromises of the house, big ticket items, more expensive, more pressing, or really just items that may need to be looked at immediately, sooner than later. What we have here, I mentioned that the thermal camera and moisture meter are typically used in conjunction with one another. Common misconception I have with this infrared camera is that it shows water. Really what it does is it shows surface temperature of what we're looking at. My inspection process, I work my way inside the house from top to bottom, so when I run a bunch of water in upstairs bathrooms, as I finish the inspection, the last thing I do is I walk through this infrared camera. I pay very close attention in ceiling areas that are directly underneath bathrooms. And in this case, we did find what looked like water in the ceiling. Kind of hard to see in photos because they're blurred in the drywall ceiling, but this would have totally otherwise gone unknown because that drywall showed no signs of being wet. There was no discoloration, no water dripping, anything like that. So you can see here in the video an up close photo or up close look with the thermal camera, and then again I will use the actual moisture meter with our trusty realtor there, Chris Harvey, to confirm that there is active moisture in that blue spot.
1 minute, Shawn.
Thank you. I'll always pull off of that dark blue spot just to show that we aren't getting a false reading in the ceiling. But yeah, coming right back to that dark blue, it's beeping and showing that there's active moisture in the ceiling. So again, tools that are used to help us find things that would have absolutely been otherwise missed in this situation. Aside from defects, a lot of information in the report. I also get to do some really cool pictures and videos with the drone. Get to see really cool houses. That was supposed to be a video. It was a pan around, but for whatever reason, the file was not good. The bottom thermal picture here is in-floor heat in a bathroom. Kind of cool to see the heat trace underneath the tile floor in that bathroom. So again, just kind of a fun way to doll up reports and use these fun gadgets that we have. That's it, guys, for the actual presentation. Referrals, ideally, any real estate agents, anybody looking to buy a house, I'll have an introduction. We can talk through the importance of a very thorough home inspection.